to get some 11s in there.
But Nigel's going to need a few tips if he's to make full use of all that power.
You're learning all the time. Every day's a school day. You've got to remember, the guy's never been on a track before in his life. It's a Hovis loaf, isn't it, you know? It's all the wind resistance in the world. You've got to kind of be an animal with it. You've got to, you know, really bang through the gears. If you drive it like a granny, you're just going to lose time. It'll come. It's practice makes perfect. All the guys here have to start somewhere, you know?
I wouldn't say I'm nervous. I'm confident that the vehicle can do the time. What I'm actually most apprehensive about is, you know, after all this, you know, getting it so that it's finished and then me totaling it.
Finally for Nigel, the moment of truth has arrived. He's had a nightmare. His boot has flipped open just at the worst possible moment. And the Santapod crowd are lending their full vocal support. He must put that embarrassment behind him and try to regain full concentration. In the UK, the quickest bus has done the run in around 13 seconds, which is as quick as a Ferrari. Nigel's just outside the 18-second mark, but it's still a pretty respectable time. In the past few years, over 100 vans have tried to get into the BWA, but only 8 have managed it.
It's getting everything right, all the balance is right. It took me ages. I got a 2.6 and I couldn't do it first time out. So, you know, you have to get used to the vehicle, you have to get used to the track, racing conditions. It's hard.
Nigel will take a lot of confidence from this first run. He knows Dipsy can do it, but will he be able to keep his nerve? He's done it in 17.6 seconds, averaging around 76 miles per hour.
Well done. Well done. Thank you. Even rolling off. Well done, fella. Well done. That was really good.
Second run, I've broken what we hoped to break, which we always knew it would, but, you know, I've done it.
Dipsy can now be called a fully fledged bus with attitude.
Well, first things first is congratulations, Nigel. Well done. I know it's been a long, tough old road, but that's the idea, you see.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that a sub 18 seconds in a bus is, you know, like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
There are guys out there with 2.2s who cannot get below 20s. Well done.
Good, nice one.
Good one.
Cheers, mate.
All right, mate. Hey.
Nigel had hoped to get a few more runs in that weekend, but the worst storm in the event's 20-year history put a stop to that. If ever there was a time to have a camper van, this was it. So with the project at an end, how would Nigel and Nikki sum up the past 7 months?
A nightmare.
Say, torture.
Unless you've got no job and a bottomless pit of money and an endless bucket of optimism.
Nigel couldn't have predicted how much work was needed, and his original 12 grand budget proved optimistic to say the least.
The God's honest truth of the matter is, at the moment, we actually don't know how much it cost because things needed doing.
At a rough estimate, it's definitely doubled. And if you think about how stressful it's going to be, you could probably double it and add a bit, double it again and add a bit more.
But it was worth it, and Dipsy has been well received within the Volkswagen community.
Everyone's surprised how much we got done in the space of time.
You know, not only is it a fast bus, but it looks phenomenal, all the interior trim. I mean, look at it, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful bus. He's done an amazing job.
I'd love a motor like that, you know? I'd love a go in it, actually.
So with 7 months hard labour finally over, They can now relax and enjoy the new Dipsy to the full, and they could all do with a good break.
If anybody said that they were going to attempt to do what I've done, I would just say, just don't. Just don't.
A classic moment from James Bond involving a cello case for Mission Implausible now. Back to an era where cars were made by craftsmen in American Hot Rod Next, and we're heading to London to build a supercar in Chop Shop later.